A developing story we're following in the W. Caitlin Clark will miss tonight's Fever game against the Sparks with a groin issue. Remember, she did not miss a game in college or her first year in the W. She's already missed 5 games with a quad injury this season and now will add tonight to the list. Clark, unfortunately, is in a shooting slump as well, going 1 for 23 from 3 over her last 3 games. Ari Chambers is here to break this all down for us. So Caitlin Clark obviously is not going to be on the floor tonight, and that's unfortunate. Shooting slump and all, her presence will be missed. But the good news, obviously, for the Fevers.
Well, unfortunately, Caitlin Clark will miss her second straight game due to a left groin injury. Clark missed last night's game against the Los Angeles Sparks in Cambridge Fieldhouse with the same issue. There's no official word on the severity of the injury, but the team said that they would be taking it day to day. This will be the 7th game Clark.
Stephanie White just gave one of the most confusing and frustrating press conferences yet regarding Caitlin Clark's latest injury, and fans are not taking it well. The lack of clarity, the vague answers, and the overall tone have sparked a storm of backlash. People are starting to wonder, is this just poor communication, or is there something bigger being kept under wraps? Clark is now sidelined again, this time with a groin injury, marking her second significant health setback of the season. And instead of offering a clear update or confident timeline, White gave a press conference that raised more questions than answers. Now fans are demanding transparency. How serious is this injury really? Why isn't there a consistent update pattern? And more importantly, is the Fever mishandling the face of the league? So here we are, once again, dealing with another Clark injury situation. And once again, the communication coming out of Indiana is chaotic at best. For someone like Caitlin Clark, who's carrying the league spotlight and drawing historic attention, this kind of vague injury management is unacceptable.
Yeah, just finding out this morning that we probably need to hold out again today. It really is a day-to-day thing, and I think for us, making sure that we're prioritizing her long-term health and wellness. Anybody who's had some of these types of injuries understand that sometimes it's a process. She's a quick healer, and she's been doing everything that she can to get back on the floor. So, we just want to make sure that we're hypersensitive to the big picture.
Let's break this down, because what just happened is a textbook example of how not to manage the health of your franchise player. Caitlin Clark was diagnosed with a groin injury, and according to head coach Stephanie White, she only found out about it late last night. Her exact words, "I think it's very much a day-to-day thing, depending on how she responds to treatment." That's where the outrage started. Fans are asking, how does a head coach of a professional basketball team not know that a biggest star, the face of the entire league, is hurt until the night before a game? The timeline just doesn't add up. For several games now, fans had already noticed something was off. Clark wasn't moving the same. She had visible tape on her leg, and her explosive play style looked muted. Clearly, she was playing through something. So the idea that this was suddenly discovered just hours before game day, that's either a shocking level of negligence or someone isn't being honest, and unfortunately, this isn't an isolated incident. Let's not forget how the Fever handled the DeWanna Bonner situation, hiding behind vague personal reasons week after week until the truth finally came out. Now here we are again, facing another suspiciously vague situation involving one of the most important players in the league. White keeps saying she stays in her lane when it comes to medical decisions. But at what point does that stop being professionalism and start becoming an excuse? Great coaches advocate for their players. They demand transparency, they demand updates, and they communicate honestly with the public when something serious is happening, especially when it involves a generational talent like Caitlin Clark. This isn't just about one injury. It's about a pattern, and it's one that fans and the league can't afford to ignore any longer.
Boston hands it off as Clark's back in. She goes down. Oh.
If you watch the footage from the Seattle game, it's all right there, and somehow Stephanie White missed it. With just 16 seconds left on the clock and the Fever comfortably leading by 8, Caitlin Clark was inexplicably subbed back in. For what? The game was already in hand. But that's when everything unraveled. Clark took a routine handoff from Aaliyah Boston, fumbled it, and immediately went down awkwardly in what looked like a non-contact injury. You can clearly see her clutching her leg, wincing in pain, and limping to the bench. Yet somehow, White claimed she didn't learn about the injury until days later. It doesn't add up. This is where the decision-making becomes genuinely hard to defend. Clark had just returned from a 3-week absence with a quad injury. She should have been protected, not playing meaningless minutes in a game that was already won. Any coach thinking long-term about player safety, team investment, or basic common sense would have kept her on the bench. Instead, White put her back in and may have directly contributed to another setback. That's not just bad luck, that's bad coaching.
This morning, or did she do some sort of a trial go this morning? Because,
I'm sure she did some stuff with our athletic training staff. I defer to them when it comes to medically related questions, and then I do as I'm told.
What's the confidence level? What's the confidence level after a little bit of a mini break that's coming up that probably be enough time for them?
Again, I kind of stay in my lane. I allow our medical staff to make those decisions. The most important thing to me is that she's healthy and ready to go so that we don't have any setbacks. So when they tell me that that's the case, then we'll get her out there.
Communication from Stephanie White regarding Caitlin Clark's injury has been nothing short of a disaster. When asked for details, she offers vague lines like, "It's day-to-day, I defer to the medical staff." That's not going to cut it when you're talking about the league's biggest star. Fans aren't just curious, they are booking tickets, rearranging schedules, and investing time and money around the chance to see Clark play. They deserve real answers. Let's be clear, Clark never missed a single game in college. She didn't sit out in her rookie year either. And now suddenly, in her second season, she's missed time for 2 different injuries. First a quad strain, now a groin issue. That raises real concerns about how the team is managing her health. Is it the medical staff? Is it the training program? Is it coaching decisions pushing her too hard too soon? Even more concerning, these injuries look connected. Anyone who knows sports medicine will tell you, coming back too soon from one injury often causes another. Favoring one leg after a quad strain puts extra stress on the groin and hips. It's a textbook compensation injury. So where were the precautions? Where was a proactive recovery plan? It sure doesn't look like one was in place. What really infuriates fans is a total lack of transparency. In most major sports leagues, when a franchise player is injured, you get a clear statement, the diagnosis, the recovery plan, and updates as the situation develops. But with the Fever, we get shrugs, I don't knows, and silence. That's not professional. That's mismanagement. The timing couldn't have been worse either. Clark was supposed to face Paige Buchers in one of the most anticipated matchups of the season. Fans paid to see that showdown, and instead, Clark sat on the bench in street clothes. That's not just a disappointment. It's a missed financial opportunity for the league. When Clark doesn't play, ratings dip, merchandise slows, and ticket value plummets. White's repeated excuse of staying in her lane is wearing thin. As head coach, managing player health is part of her lane. Communication with medical staff is part of her lane. Protecting your franchise player from re-injury is most definitely part of her job description. The pattern is clear. Clark returns from injury, looks out of rhythm for a few games, then goes down again. She was visibly struggling before this groin injury, shooting 1-4-23 from deep across 3 games. For the best shooter in the world, that's not just a slump, that's a red flag. But rather than pulling her back or adjusting her minutes, the coaching staff kept rolling her out there like everything was fine. Now she's out again, and still, White acts surprised. Fans are rightfully furious, and they are not just blaming the injury. They are questioning how this organization is run from top to bottom. If your most valuable player is repeatedly getting hurt, and no one can explain why, that's not bad luck. That's a systemic failure. The economic impact is also enormous. Clark has now missed 6 games this season. Every one of those games is a loss in ticket revenue, broadcast ratings, and jersey sales. Clark isn't just a player. She's the WNBA's biggest draw. Keeping her healthy should be priority 1. White's tone-deaf approach to media only makes things worse. Instead of giving honest answers, she sidesteps questions, blames vague protocols, and leaves everyone in the dark. That's not leadership, that's avoidance. And it's costing the league and the team dearly. What's most frustrating is how preventable all of this feels. If Clark had been eased back more cautiously, if there had been better monitoring, if someone had paid attention to her declining performance as a warning sign, maybe this second injury doesn't happen. Instead, she's sidelined again. And White, still offering no accountability. This is bigger than just one player. If the Fever develop a reputation for mishandling stars, for not protecting their talent or communicating clearly, Why would future free agents want to sign there? It creates a culture of distrust, and that kind of damage doesn't go away easily. The injury itself is also serious. Groin injuries are tough to recover from, and can linger if not managed properly. If this becomes a recurring problem, it could affect Clark's speed, her shot mechanics, and even her career longevity. This isn't just about miscommunication anymore. It's about the possibility that the WNBA's most valuable player is being failed by the very people who are supposed to protect her, and that should alarm every single person who cares about the future of women's basketball.